What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about Faraday future ticker is FFIE. Today was one crazy sell-off. I want to go over some of the data points and talk on if this was justified or not. Before I get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that, let's get right to it. So today it closed 23.79% in the red, equivalently closing at about 11.5 cents pre-split, so crazy numbers. As far as volume, 4.11 million shares being traded, 1.24 is the average. And just on throwing it out there, in case you do not know, there was a 1-for-80 reverse stock split, because technically the whole reverse stock split was announced on Friday. So I'm sure some people who just randomly decided to take Friday and the weekend off woke up today to see it at significantly higher prices. So just so you know, there is and was a reverse stock split 1-for-80. But technically, whenever there is a reverse stock split, similar to what I have mentioned on previous videos, historically, and that's obviously on average, a stock goes down about 15%. And when this was announced on Friday, so the 25th, it did go down 15.95%. So I already felt based on that, it was already factored into the price. So the whole 1-for-80 was kind of considered that way. But what happened today was absolutely crazy. And even if you look on the intraday though, I think a lot of people saw a lot of value at around the $9.30 range. This is why it did go up on a very nice spike with very little volume. So once again, I did see a good value play potentially there, especially at that discounted price. But once again, then people just started to sell off once again and maybe take profits, because even technically this spin right here, if someone got in here, that's around a 10% gain technically. So when it comes down to reverse stock splits, institutions absolutely hate them. And I know that based on just watching a lot of 13Fs, what institutions do, watching the ticker throughout the day and the tape essentially, and every single transaction. So most likely what you're going to see during Q3, because this is the latest round of 13Fs, but all of this did occur during Q2. So most likely in October, when a lot of these same institutions are going to be disclosing their position, there is going to be most likely, I'm not a financial advisor, so you guys always do your own due diligence, but most likely there is going to be a very big wall of red on a lot of institutions. Just this will be the final straw. They wanted to get completely out of Faraday, especially maybe before the whole reverse stock split, and with it being announced on Friday, maybe a lot of these institutions couldn't act fast enough, so it all was mostly sold out today. That's just my own estimate, of course. Then that's just looking at the ticker and just the transactions, of course. At the time of doing this video and today, there was no SEC filings, no press releases, nothing along those lines. As far as what shorts did, so Ortex does typically take a day or two to kind of adjust to post-split numbers. So it does show right here 58.2 million shares were returned technically today, but that is pre-split numbers, and I think that works out to be equivalently around 800,000 shares. So technically, this is where a lot of people I saw on social media already saying that it was shorts just doubling down today. That wasn't the case. So technically, they did return roughly around 800,000 shares. It does show 257.44 million shares overall are being shorted. And once again, that is pre-split, because I think that the current outstanding share count now is authorized shares is 154 million. So it cannot be 257.44 million. So definitely a lot of this will be adjusted within the next day or so. Cost to borrow average though is 9.48%. And you can kind of see based on this return shares, this big spike up. So it does look like shorts did technically return some shares near the tail end of the day. Actually, majority of this was done near the tail end of the day. So yeah, kind of interesting stuff on what's been happening. As far as what happened with the daily volume though, so 46.38% of the daily volume today was attributed to shorts. So of course, that is kind of abnormal, because if you look at this trend right here, it is usually 55 or plus, majority of which is around 60 or 67, even higher, but 46.38% was just very low. And I did see some rumors as far as a lot of brokers not actually switching over a lot of their shares. So if you do have a lot of the discount brokers, for instance, in Canada, I know a lot of them didn't actually get the actual new shares of Faraday yet. So you were unable to really buy or sell or do anything like that. So maybe the short volume was attributed to that in some sense. I'm not really sure. As far as options, there was no chains available today. Market makers are pretty fast as far as that, so I think there should be options as of tomorrow, most likely, of course. And if you did actually have any options, like I've said in previous videos, if you had any options, whether it be calls or puts with Faraday, you are going to have a new custom chain created by your broker, and that is going to be, you can still hold that new chain, so that new option, and depending on your broker, each one does different things. They might adjust the price or the physical shares. There's a lot of different things that they could do, but technically though, you cannot buy any more of that chain. That is just a custom chain for you to either hold or to sell. You cannot buy more of that. So again, if you had a 50-cent strike price equivalently one, then technically a lot of it might be massively different, right? So 50 cents and then times by 80. So technically that would be around $40 equivalently as far as a strike price, but with each option being around 100 shares. So this is where it kind of gets complicated, and each broker does something different. So you'd have 100 shares divided by 80, that works out to be 1.25 shares. You can't really have 0.25 shares. So they're going to have to figure something out as far as maybe adjusting the strike price, or maybe adjusting the share count to 1 physical share and maybe having 35 as a strike price. That's just me throwing it out there. Again, every broker does something different, so just contact them, let them know about the whole reverse stock split. I'm sure they're already on top of it and what they plan on doing. As far as some support and resistance points, I know it might be premature to talk on this, but kind of you can tell where the big support and resistance points are at this stage. So $9.79 is a very strong resistance right now, and with it currently below that, it is between this S3 and this S2, so that's something that you need to really watch for it to stay above that, especially going into tomorrow. $6.62 is going to be that next very strong support, and below that is just going to be more psychological support levels. So once again, not necessarily the best, and as you can tell, the actual spread on all of these is very wide. So if you thought that pre-split was volatile, this is going to be 10 times more volatile. So just anticipate that, especially with less shares out there right now. This is where technically you'll have pretty fast swings both up and down, which might be good for day traders. And going back over here as far as options and volatility go hand in hand. They are best friends essentially. So technically, if you don't know any options or how to do options, I highly recommend you guys researching them, because they can be very profitable given the new reverse stock split. So let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below. Do you think that today was a overreaction? Do you think that today was justified? Do you think it's going to trend down more? I do feel typically any stock, no matter what the reason, unless it's like complete fraud or something, like no stock goes down 23.79% without some kind of rally, similar to what happened midway during the day. So I feel like that might actually happen tomorrow, and if it can stay above this point that I mentioned around the $9.79 range, then it should be fairly okay to hopefully trend up and between this S2 and this S1, so between 9.79 and 11.76. But still, in comparison to what has actually happened over the last little bit, it's not good. So it does need to really trend up quite significantly. So let me know your thoughts on all this. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And give yourself a shout out if you were buying today, or if you sold. Was today the last straw? What's your kind of take on Faraday in the comments below? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. One final thing, take advantage of free promos, and that is with this only up until August the 31st. So sign up for a free account with Moomoo. All you have to do though is throw $100 at it and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock can be valued up to $2,000, and you also get a $50 cash reward. So this is one of the best deals out there. Link in the description below and also the comments. With that said, I appreciate you guys watching, and let's eventually down the line, whenever that might be, make a lot of money on Faraday Future.